to be a scholar, then come and sit and argue. And there is room for discussions in the class of sacred knowledge. Why Abu Hanifa said so, why Shafi'i said so. In the class of sacred knowledge, you will study why. But when you ask a shaykh and a shaykh tells you this is haram or this is halal, don't argue. Take it and guarantee that the scholars studied enough and they are not standing in the mihrab to lead the prayer or give fatwa before they have been qualified, and your job is just to follow. Your job is just to obey. And this is why we need this distinction between our own knowledge in the dunya and our own knowledge in the deen. If we are proud of what we achieved in the dunya, this pride should not lead us to humiliating the scholars or making ourselves better than the scholars themselves. The Western type of education, my dear brothers and sisters, is actually the disease. The Western type of education. There is not much blame on young people in Europe here or in North America going to schools and coming from schools to argue about anything. The blames are on their parents who sent them to these schools. The blames are on the parents who sent their children to these schools. The moment you send your child to such schools, you have no control over your children. Let me give you one example of how my father, rahimahullah, represented an example of a parent. He was my teacher, my master. And I knew Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala through him. I studied with him for 20 years, over 500 books. But the honor I got from bearing his shoes was more important than any other studies. I was the bearer of his shoes for 20 years. But look at how careful he was when he sent me to school. I remember in 5th grade, we had a new teacher. He came in the classroom telling us that man was created from ape. My father, rahimahullah, every day would review with me what I studied in school. Every day. I would go from the school to the mosque. Around Zuhr time, 12 o'clock, quarter to 12, we leave school. I go directly to the mosque. Zuhr would be around either a little bit before or a little bit after, depending on the time of the year. Then I would join him in all of his classes in the mosque until the evening. He would review with me between Dhuhr and Asr. What did you take in schools now? What is your homework? And so on. What did the teacher speak? And I told him that we had today a new teacher telling us that man was created from ape. And he was so furious. He was so angry as never seen before. At the school, at the headmaster, at the system. And he started for almost 2 hours just trying to erase that statement from my mind. Because as Al-Imam Ibn Abi Zayd Al-Qayrawani says in Al-Risala Al-Qayrawaniya, a basic text in the Maliki fiqh, he says, وَأَوْعَى الْقُلُوبِ لِلْخَيْرِ مَا لَمْ يَسْبِقْ إِلَيْهِ الشَّرِّ. The best hearts that pick up good are the hearts in which there is no evil. The best hearts that pick up good are the hearts in which there is no evil. Now, this statement might affect the mind of the child for all coming years. Although it was said in 5 minutes, you need 2 hours just to erase the impact of that statement. And he worked one day and another day and the third day, and he was for almost few weeks reviewing the subject with me and reading on me. And in that evening, he wrote a letter to the headmaster of the school, telling him that he should be careful about the teachers and the aqidah of the teachers and the ideology the teachers are spreading in the school, and this is a communist idea, and the school shouldn't have any room for such ideas, and the children are a trust in your hands. A long letter he wrote to the headmaster of the school and told me, go and give my salam to the headmaster and give him this letter. If you are so careful about your children and you can take care of them this way, then send your children to schools. This is an example of how careful we should be about our children. No wonder our children are returning home